What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and with me, as always, it's Chris the Stats Man Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey. The Boston Celtics barrage last night. In the first 3 quarters of that game, they shot 62% from three. And then, of course, in the fourth, they fell 1 3-point shy of the record. Just an insane performance by a team looking to repeat.
Definitely worth talking about. And his lawn's maybe still as green as those Celtics jerseys. Is the lawn boss Joey McCroskey? Get that, Joe?
It's a different shade of green because it's a better green, but it's as green.
It's as green. Well, those Celtics were definitely on fire. And boys, was it good to have basketball back? We are back. We are talking about game one or night one in the NBA. And of course, we're going to touch on the top 100 list from ESPN. And Joey's got some Clippers thoughts for us.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be a fun night. Let's go around the horn here and talk about night one. Chris kind of asked a question before we hopped on, before we went live, which I actually kind of liked. Did you like watching the Celtics game? Chris, I mean, do you have some thoughts on this to get us started?
Oh, I don't want to lead the witness.
Okay.
Considering I asked the question, but I will give my thought. I know. I do not enjoy this game. There's a little bias he's setting here. I think we'll have to talk about the Celtics a lot more. Than we did last year, considering they are the reigning champs. But every three went in. Everything. Like I said, 62%. I think it was, I forget this exact numbers. It was 26 of 42 or something. It was just a stupid number. Like Tatum made
29.
everything.
29 to 40.
29, yeah.
Thank you.
They didn't get to 30.
29 of like 62, I think, yeah.
Every starter was up over 50% from three. It was insanity. Also, the craziest thing with this team, and a lot more to say, but I want you guys to talk as well, is they didn't even have their unicorn, right?
Yeah.
Porzingis didn't even play. I forgot he was on this team, and this team still is the best team against who I still believe is the second best team in the East, in the Knicks. You know, they're just in a league of their own. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can, Joe, you can touch on that. Did that performance, obviously, it felt like the Celtics maybe reminded everybody of who they were a little bit. I mean, obviously, they got crazy hot, which is, a different story. But, Joy, can you maybe speak to that first and then talk to Chris's point about, whether or not you liked watching that game, but did it feel like they kind of maybe put the foot down a little bit to let people know who they were?
Yeah, it was almost like they reminded them of what they could have been if they played even better last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was unique to see a defending champ come out on ring night, banner night, whatever you want to call it, and play like that. It was, I'm slightly scared about it because there seemed to be no hangover and there seemed to be some general like vitriol about it. And like, you don't shoot like that. Like, yeah, you get hot, but like that hotness has to end. And like Chris said, they missed 13 in a row, whatever, in the fourth, but that wasn't the guys. That wasn't the guys, right? That was
like they went 3 of 16 in the fourth. So yeah, they made the first 3.
Yeah,
that's stupid what this team did.
At that point, it didn't matter. They were on house money, and everybody else had made everything. So to see Tatum when he makes like 8 3-pointers or 7, whatever it was, like
he was on fire.
I mean, he's never been a bad 3-point shooter, but after what we saw in the finals last year and then kind of over the summer, obviously he didn't play much. But if he's adding that in,
personally,
if he's adding that in, like that's slightly terrifying. And not to like take anything away from it, but the Knicks were really, really bad. They were bad. The defense was terrible. But still, I mean, those weren't like wide open, no contest looks. A lot of those were, hand in face kind of thing. So I don't know. I didn't enjoy watching it. I didn't enjoy watching it because it was the first game of the season and I kind of wanted something like competitive between the Knicks and the Celtics. It should have been better.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, I kind of get Chris's point. Like, I don't want to watch a team make 33 pointers every game. Like, I don't want that to become the norm. I don't think it will be. Like, that was obviously like a unique thing, but And like everything else, right? At some point, a team is going to find a way to defend it, right? Because if Boston keeps doing this, other teams are going to start to try and mimic it. They already are, right? And eventually teams will start to find a way to try to slow it down or do some things different, and it'll change. But in terms of just last night, no. If this game happened in like December, like I feel like it would have been a lot cooler. But the fact that it was game one was kind of just like, God damn it, they're gonna do it. And like here they are.
I kind of mixed emotions here. Obviously, you know, as the resident Celtics fan, you know what I mean?
Quote unquote.
No, all right, I'll wear it. I'll wear it.
Last year.
You know, hey, me and Michelle were watching it, and she was pretty psyched about the amount of threes that were going in. And she didn't realize right away that it was a record. So, and then she was they should put back Brown or Tatum back in the fourth quarter to hit the three to beat the record.
It's very unsportsmanlike of her.
Yeah, she was like, they need to put it back in. I'm like, no, they're just gonna let these guys.
That's not a bad call. They kind of should have.
Yeah, they should have. Like, hey, go in and hit a three real quick, and then we'll come back.
These guys can do it.
These guys can do it. I was really pulling for Hauser, number 30, to hit number 30. So that would have been cool, but he had 2 good looks at it. But no, I'm kind of with you guys on that sense of. Even I have to admit, you know, as the 3-ball Dominguez original nickname, watching that many shots, and I think maybe it was in combination with the Lakers game afterward, if you guys stayed up for that one, with how many threes they were kind of putting up too, where it does kind of feel like maybe the Celtics started a trend that is not going to be very aesthetically pleasing if it's just a lot of people jacking up threes because mathematics say that's what you're supposed to do. And yeah, the Celtics hit him at a pace that was incredible, so it looked good, and that was pleasing to the eye. But I did want a better game for night one. Like you said, it was, the quote I have here for this is like, hey, after all that, we had the Cat debut and the Julius Randle debut was kind of didn't really have any juice to it.
Whoa, we don't need to bring Julius Randle into this. It's fine. Michael Bridges' debut, you mean, right?
Yeah, Michael Bridges' debut. I think there was a lot of debuts that did not go well. Bridges,
the team that didn't have any debuts obviously looked great, fantastic.
The continuity teams won out last night.
Continuity teams, the new head coaches teams had a good looks. I mean, I feel like the Lakers had a big star come in there second quarter.
Yeah,
kind of the whole place buzzing.
Those 3 minutes were exciting.
We can touch on that too, but as far as wrapping up here, Celtics thoughts. Let's maybe switch it over to the Knicks here. Cat with 12 points didn't look particularly great. Obviously, the Knicks didn't look particularly great. I think maybe that's a theme that I noticed throughout the night with both of the teams. I didn't feel like they had meshed at all yet, and I think that's a little concerning for both teams, given who both teams were at the end of last season. To kind of maybe, Knicks to me, when we get to the Minnesota game, I'll talk a little bit more on it, but the Knicks seemed a little bit more, I'm okay with that, where I'm not as okay with it on Minnesota side, the way that they looked, because they didn't look as particularly daunting as they did last year. Joey, any thoughts on those two teams, the kind of the debuts?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. The Knicks, I think, looked awful. Bridges looked terrible. That first half from Bridges was disgusting. I don't care that he made 7 of 8 shots in the second half. The game was out of hand, and anybody could have got in there and made shots because it was no pressure at that point. If that's what they traded 5 first-round picks for, like that has to get better, and it has to get better fast, like super fast.
Yes, sir.
Because the whole point was, hey, Brunson took a pay cut and it was way too much load on him last year. So let's bring in guys who can score and take some of the load off. And if those guys aren't going to help, like it's not going to go so well for them. And for a team that's like, Tibbs's teams are supposed to be on defense and kind of heart and hustle and everything. And you would think playing the defending champions, kind of like a rivalry for you in that region, like a pretty big deal. Like you would have come out with a little bit more, pop and energy. And I think the barrage of threes was hitting, and they didn't have an answer for it. They also just looked like completely outcoached, right? Like the fact that Towns kept getting hunted on defense was like, hey, at some point you've got to account for that. And that's not like a new thing, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not like we've seen Towns be a great defender, and all of a sudden he had a bad game. Like it's kind of been that way. And Tibbs has coached him before, so it's not like these are things that should have been kind of known and built in a little bit. So I don't know. I was concerned about the Knicks. Like that was, if I was a Knicks fan, I'd be like, man, we made the splash 2 weeks before the season started, and this is what we're getting out of it. I feel like having someone like DiVincenzo off the bench would have been probably a useful thing for them in that game, having some like scoring power. Now, again, they had that guy, I can't remember his name. Off the bench. Had
like Deuce McBride.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking of the pro. But he came in, he played well, but it's not that like instant spark plug that someone like DiVincenzo would have been. So I don't know. It seemed like it kind of caught them all by surprise. Now, again, it's game one, probably a bit of an overreaction, but they should have been better.
Yeah. Chris, your thoughts on New York Cat?
Let's not read into it Cat too much. When Cat looks bad, he looks really bad.
Yeah.
Like watching him through a different lens now that he's in this ugly ass orange and white. I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I don't have to watch this guy on my team. Like, he's just so big and slow and like kind of goofy. The way I think he like dangles his arms weird. That, like there's something with his like demeanor that everybody knows.
Oh, you noticed,
but can't explain. Right?
Yeah.
So what do we call it? Like,
I don't know.
No, it's not possessing, but
but you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because that was the thing that I couldn't explain last year when I was like, I really like the Wolves, and I was like, I just don't like Cat. I can't stand Cat, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And it's the way his arms move. I don't know. It's just something about him, man.
It's like, but when he's on, he hits a few threes, a game winner here and there, and it's like, he's number one overall pick. This guy's great. I like this guy. Now he's, dude. I'm not gonna overreact too hard, but I am concerned on the level of will Cat make it to Christmas without New York turning on him, right?
No chance. No, that's
he's not making it out of the NBA Cup without New York turning on him.
If they don't come out a little bit hotter, well, who knows? Maybe Bridges becomes the sort of the
scapegoat.
If he keeps having that hitch in his shot and looking like we wasted 5 picks on this guy, Cat might slide under the radar. If he just
that's
plays
good point.
solid.
He could, because you could have got the exact same game out of Julius Randle, and Knicks fans kind of would have experienced like they've experienced that. Yeah, and they kind of got the same game out of him, just in a different city. But yeah, you're right. Bridges is gonna be a scapegoat. 5 first-round picks for him is
that's gonna. I keep hearing that 5 first-round picks. You said it, Jones. A couple of pots. It's just everybody 5 picks for this guy.
I can't believe, dude. There was so much vitriol when Gobert got traded.
Yeah,
for all.
I was gonna say
Michael Bridges gets traded, and it's like, yeah, he used to play with Brunson in college. This could work great. 5 picks, whatever it takes. And finally, it's like, hang on, was 5 picks maybe a little too much?
Was it maybe a little too much? It was a lot. Why is he shooting like that? It was a weird one. But like you said, about big trades, about debuts. Chris, how did the Minnesota debut go? I'm taking an L to the Lakers. A little bit surprising here in the Lakers.
Could have been worse.
Okay, yeah.
It was looking a lot worse during the middle of that second quarter.
Yeah.
When it was like 16 or 18 deficit at one point. When then Bronny came into the game for those couple of minutes to have that heartwarming manufacturing moment. I didn't think I would say I kind of
heartwarming manufacturing.
Maybe we can go into it, but like I think it's cool it happened, but I don't know if it was totally earned. Anyways.
Yes.
Julius Randle is gonna have to grow on me a little bit more.
Yes.
He gives big, bulky guys in the NBA a bad rep because he doesn't play hard on both ends all the time. If he doesn't feel like he's in the play, he won't run, and that's tough to watch. Mike Conley was off. He was over 5, only got 5 points, 1 of 7 from the field. And Edwards was great though. Yeah, Edward looks on fire. Of course, he was 10 of 25, but it didn't feel like that. Like he was carrying the team on his back. So Gobert he just signed that 3-year, $110 million extension. Great hometown discount or regional discount, I suppose.
Regional discount.
And I don't know. I'm not going to overreact to it. It's fine. Okay, so the thing with both these games is the Cat trade is looking more and more like the Cat Randall trade is looking more just like a Cat and DiVincenzo trade. Like the Timberwolves are just dumping cash get in a talent in DiVincenzo and fine, we'll take on Julius Randle because Randle, dude, I don't know.
He did not look great, and let's get to Joey first here on your thoughts on sort of the Minnesota side of the LA thing. So I think we feel like we should save LA and kind of do one whole thing on LA.
Yeah,
but Joey,
Rui looked great, but yeah, we'll get to that.
What were your thoughts on that?
I was listening to the Timberwolves game last night as I was going to sleep. After like halftime, I put it on the radio. I was listening to the Timberwolves broadcast, and like, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes into the third quarter, they felt the need to come out and drop some stats from last year, which was already concerning, right? Game one, and you're already bringing up last year. And the stat that they brought up was the offensive rating the Timberwolves had so far in the game last night was identical to the offensive rating that they had in game one last year against the Raptors when they lost in a kind of lackluster performance. And I was like, wow, if the hometown guys are already like defending a slow start for a team that was supposed to be, you know, really hot and kind of like a thing. I was like, it's an interesting way to do it. But then I kind of thought about it more this morning. I was like, well, again, it's night one. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance for them. They don't really have the like veteran anymore. I feel like, you know, as much as we rag on Cat, he was probably that guy who had seen like enough, and he was kind of like a cocky guy, but he had a little bit of a common sense, you know, air about him. Like, hey, let's, you know, keep our heads together. Like Ant is kind of the super overconfident guy, and you need the kind of thing to like bring him down a little bit. It's like if the three of us were playing basketball against, you know, kids in like 7th grade. Chris is the guy, you know, talking mad smack, and then Titus is the guy kind of bringing it back down a little bit. Like they were missing that, like bring it down and kind of get prepared to get their shit together, kind of moment. So for some reason though, and the fact that they kind of got it close, like that game doesn't like infuriate me as much. And to be fair too, like last year we saw a lot of highs and lows of Minnesota. Like they were good, but like when they would have an off night, they would have an off night, like in the Western Conference Finals and even against the Nuggets, right? When they didn't have it, There wasn't a whole lot of like, we can keep it close and then try to make a run. It was kind of like, hey, we don't have it, and that's the end of it. So I feel like they're kind of the same, but if you were expecting to get a bump from Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, like he didn't get it. And last night against a team like the Lakers, probably be a game you should have got it. And the fact that Anthony Davis got what he got, was it like 35, I think?
Yeah, that didn't look good.
That's concerning, because that is where Cat would have probably helped you with some size, because Gobert can't do it all. Like he can't defend everything on the floor. Somebody like AD, like Cat would have been a good.
That was the other thing when the front court was Randall and Nas as the 4-5. It looked like the same person with a different haircut, right? It just it didn't look great. They both look kind of scrawny, even though they're both 6'8" and like 250. Like it's insane. But
it's weird
out there.
It's weird when you're up against those monster dudes. All of a sudden, somebody just looks a lot smaller.
Like Rui looked huge, dude.
Yeah, Rui looked huge. Like that's actually, I was a little surprised at how small I thought Randall looked. Because I was like, oh, he's not. I mean, he's a big, but like he's not a big.
He's not a big man.
Apparently.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and I don't want to. You know, it's one game, but you know we can put that caveat. I don't like it at all for Minnesota, and I'm genuinely concerned because again, it's early, so this can all change next week, and everything could be fine. But I did not like the vibes from Randall at all. I don't think he looked like he wants to be there. I don't think the team wants him there. Like I think it's weird to say as somebody who was kind of a Cat hater last year. I felt like they were missing Cat, and it was weird. There was that moment in the second quarter, I think, where Edwards is screaming at him, let's wake up. And it just felt like he was the only one fired up, and everybody else was kind of like, okay, and then I don't know. It felt weird. Even in moments, Michelle was noticing it too. She goes, is he just the only good guy they have on their team? And I'm like, no, they have other guys. It's Nasri. I'm naming these people. She goes, yeah, but he's the only really good one, right? I said, yeah, he kind of is.
They have so much. They're the most depth in the league.
I know, which is weird. But if you like, I got what she meant. Of like the only guy that really was like seemed like he cared or seemed like he was locked in was Edwards. And that was the thing I was a little concerned about when they gave up Cat. I was kind of like, all right, you give up your number 2 for a money move. And when I felt like last year, and this is maybe why kind of going back to when I said I'm okay with the New York start and not so much the Minnesota start because of where I felt they were last year. I felt like New York, they're like taking a swing because they weren't quite ready. Where I felt like Minnesota was like, all right, we went through the wars. Let's come back and let's take another crack at it. And I felt like they pulled the ripcord on that a little too soon. And I feel like the team is going to go, they pulled that rug out from underneath us. And I don't know if the vibe's going to be right this year. And it just makes me a little nervous for them.
I coming out of this game, the one overreaction I will entertain is the that this might be a gap year.
Yeah.
Right. Where I'm like, shoot, okay.
Yeah.
It might be like a 5 seed and losing in 6 games in the first round. But
and and I think you're right. And like I said, it's not locked in stone yet, but it just feels like it could be a gap year. And to me, I'm like, I don't know why you took a gap year. Like next year should have been the gap year. It should have been, all right, let's take one more swing at it. If it doesn't fail or fails, all right, then move Cat. And then, then it's all right, let's retool around Ant. We know we have one superstar. He's only 22, 23. I don't know. I just didn't like it. So, but we'll see. It's very early. And speaking of early, the LA Lakers looks like the maestro JJ Redick is pulling all the right strings. Pretty wild. Chris, what was your thoughts on the Lakers' first start? And then maybe we can talk about the heartwarming manufactured moment, which I love that term.
I just want to make sure I'm checking my over-unders right now to make sure. Yes, we all took Lakers over.
Yeah,
so we're all over on the Lakers this
yeah.
year. Well, no, we like the Lakers.
Let's start.
We like the Lakers this year. Yeah, they're gonna be competitive. Rui looked like he's taking a step up. If he can take a step up, that's what this team needs. Anthony Davis finally looks like the guy that LeBron was hoping he would be 5 years ago, right? Where he wants to be Defensive Player of the Year. He's playing with a little bit of fire under him.
He was everywhere.
He's always had all the talent. It's just, does he have the emotion for it? So I'm excited I'm going to watch them. JJ's fine. I think he's getting a little overhyped. I think they're like, oh, hey, they talked about this play on the Mind the Game podcast, and then they ran it here. It's like, that's cool. But like a lot of guys run plays.
That's cool. Basketball.
It's not just them.
You know what it was? It was the O boards, Chris's favorite term. That was going around all broadcast was like he was really focusing on crashing the offensive rebounds, and then of course they were just getting every offensive rebound.
They were talking about Austin Reeves. There was I think it was I forget who I was listening to, but they were talking about, I think it was No Dunks. They're talking about how Austin Reeves pretended like he wasn't gonna go for the O board. And then he did. It was like, whoa, what a move by Austin Reeves. It's like,
that's JJ. Yeah. His fingerprints are all over that.
Fingerprints are all over this.
So I'm just glad the Lakers will be competitive because the league's more fun when LeBron is competitive. So yeah, that's what we need.
Which LeBron,
A or B senior? Well,
speaking of O boards, that was Bronny's stat of the night was an O board.
He got an O board?
0 for 2 from the league.
I didn't think he did anything out there, but
I got an O board.
Oh, nice. Good for him. Well, he's listening to JJ, so that's good. That's how you stay in the rotation. Joey, what were your thoughts on the Lakers game as you drifted off into sleep? Did you dream about LeBron?
Yeah, I dreamed about all the reasons why I hate LeBron. Just came
flooding
to pure fruition in that entire travesty of a production that was last night. So,
let's just talk about it because maybe you're down on this. I think you've been down on it more than us. We have been, but the LeBron's moment.
I'm down on it because it was it was all for LeBron in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
And to me, that's just doesn't make sense. Like, Bronny is not an NBA player.
He's not.
He's not.
He looks small out there. Speaking of
small, he looks tiny.
If they would have stuffed him into the G League for 6 months, for a year, if they would have brought him up on like a back-to-back and on a 10-day and been like, hey, we just played a long road trip back-to-back. We're going to bring up some guys to give someone rest. And then they popped him in there for a few minutes. Okay, fine. I understand why they did it game one to get the story out of the way and get it done and over with. But but he's there, and you did it, and you could have put him in the G League, and you could have waited till LeBron decides to retire, and hey, the last season he's out there. Like there were a lot of other ways to do this that you could have killed the story either way, but you left him on the roster, and I don't know, it took away from it. Like it doesn't need to be a soap opera for me.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to hear about this, and then so great they played together, but the next big story is going to be when Bronny inevitably assists LeBron on a basket, right? And then it's going to be that's going to be dominating. It's like,
but at least I feel like the story would be less, at least, than it was.
Yeah.
The question of when will they play together is out of the way, right?
Yeah. But everybody knew. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. were coming in for it. They're like, it was. I don't know. It was just stupid. I feel like, could you imagine being Bronny?
I feel like it's tough for him. He's the guy I feel the worst about.
You got to go in the locker room and sit down, and everybody's got to be like, "Yeah, we know why you're here. Like, we know the only reason you're here making $4 million."
See, Edwards, when he came out, he told him,
he was talking shit.
I'm your daddy out here. Like, don't make no, it's not. But
that would have been awesome.
Like a funny thing to think.
I'm your daddy out here, little boy.
Like, I'm glad that it's over with, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just another thing of like, nobody needed this.
Yeah, LeBron needed this.
LeBron needed it, and it's like you didn't need it because you have everything else. You don't need this.
Yeah. Well, I think he needed it for himself. I feel like and Chris, if you want, I maybe jump into here, but I have a lot of thoughts on this. Obviously, as a LeBron guy, I get why they did it game one.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I heard, I believe I heard it on the Ringer NBA podcast, that because I was kind of thinking the same way. I'm like, why are you doing it game one? Like wait, let him go to the G League. I was thinking of Bronny too. Like that should be how he does it. But somebody brought up is that like LeBron's in year 22 at his legitimate, his career could be over at any second. Like he could, go out there, pull a, something. And he was like, I mean, he's been an Iron Man, but the guy's 40 years old.
Well, also Bronny had cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, right? Or has it been a year
yet? Yeah, maybe a year and a half. It's like
year and change. Yeah.
Like what you said there, Joey, was like, let him play in the G League this year. Then next year, if he's, LeBron says he's retiring, then let's do it. But that's the thing. Maybe he doesn't get to have that point. And so like weirdly, I kind of get where it's like, hey, look, he's here. Let's just get this done so we can get, the conversation over as far as that. Like when are they going to play? When are they going to play? So that can be over with it. And he can start to develop as an actual player versus, this LeBron's son, which means he's never going to be, and all that stuff. And I think maybe that's the one thing that feels manufactured to me, and the thing that I feel maybe is the most disappointing thing about it. Because last night, I had never seen Bronny play, but last night it was very clearly obvious that he is not an NBA player, and he's never going to be an NBA player. And this moment would have been really cool if Bronny was a legit NBA guy, and even if he was just a 3 or D guy and was just like, hey, look, he's going to be in the league for 7-8 years and, taking up playing for people, would have been cool. But the fact that this is really probably going to be it, he's probably going to have a decent run with the G League while LeBron's there. But the moment LeBron is gone and the moment those strings are there, JJ's gone, it's going to be over, and he's not going to find another team. He's not going to go anywhere else.
I would fight against that negativity of it, because like I look at like Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah,
he was bouncing around. He was in the Lakers, right? Now you just signed a full year deal to be a backup point guard for the Grizzlies or backup guard. So like I wouldn't go that far with Bronny, but like, yeah, it's not like the Griffey moment where like when Griffey Jr. came up, it was like, this guy's the next Babe Ruth.
He's actually
going to be the best. Yeah, right. He was the first overall pick. I think he was the last overall pick to be in the only first overall pick to ever make the Hall of Fame, which is like an insane stat.
That's wild.
But yeah, I still have hope for Bronny.
Yeah, and maybe I am being a little negative, but I don't see it right now. And maybe in 3 years down the road he's developed enough, and great, that'd be awesome for him. But
yeah, I feel like it's going to be even worse when they send him to the G League in the middle of the season.
Well, I mean, I feel like it was going to be.
I thought it would be like tomorrow.
Yeah, right? I think it's going to be like what they're going to do is quietly, like, so let this guy down.
It can't be quiet. It's going to be loud as hell.
It'll be a story, but like what's going to what I think the plan would be is let him play. He's going to stay on the roster another week or two, and then when they're kind of when it's kind of done, he might get a few more burn, a couple more minutes here and there. Maybe gets a shot or something like that. And then when it's kind of done in a week, he's going to go down, like, quote unquote, quietly down to the G League, and that'll be it. And then the story will be over. So,
yeah.
Because if he goes to the G League right away, the whole thing is going to be, when's he coming up? When's he coming up?
No, the whole thing's going to be, this was a sham the entire time.
Does he need to get a point first? I think he needs to get a point in the
He's gonna
NBA,
basket.
and then he'll go to the G League.
Yeah. So they need like a blowout so he can come in, get a point.
Like it was almost a 20-point deficit when he came in, and then it got a little close. So
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Oh, they're coming back. Get him out of there. Get him out. The broadcast even said it. They were like, I think his night's going to be over. His 3 minutes of fame. Like they called it out. They're like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you kind of saw like it was going to come in right before they had built up enough of a lead.
Yeah.
Where they could bring him in. And I was thinking the same thing too. Like you can't bring him in and all of a sudden this league, when it was like 10 points or whatever it was, I was like, it can't go from 10 to like 5 when he's in there. Like that's huge. You can't have that. But it was like 15, 17. So it can go from there to 10 and nobody's really going to notice.
No one's going to blame it on him.
Yeah. Nobody's going to blame it on him. And then it's fine. And then they'll be okay. So, but yeah, I felt weird because the crowd, every time he touches the ball, it's like, oh. And
everybody's standing up.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you guys gotta let him play, man. So hopefully he gets a chance to actually play and
actually be something.
Yeah. But I thought it was cool when I saw them both get off the bench and check in. That was cool.
It was cool. I'll give you that.
I thought it was cool.
That was cool, man.
I thought it was getting a little too much hate. I realized I'm giving it a lot of hate too. But
yeah, like when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Actually, it's not that big of a deal. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, God, this is infuriating to me.
Yeah.
But the moment of it happening was
cool.
The
actual. Well, I'm the same way. The moment it happened, I was like, "This is cool.
Pretty neat.
I appreciate what they're doing here. This is awesome. This is just seeing a side by side like that was awesome. And then like the pass to him and stuff was cool. But other than that, yeah, the rest of it, I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this to be not a story.
Yep. Which hopefully it won't be anymore because it's done.
Yep.
Done.
All right. Let's move into our second topic tonight. ESPN dropped their top 100 players earlier last week. And we got some thoughts. Joey brought this up. Did you initially have some thoughts on hand, or you just kind of want to hear what we had?
No, I had some thoughts offhand because I was like looking through it.
Yeah.
And I looked through, like they released it in sections. So it was like 100 through 50 and then 50 through 11 and then the top 10. And the first like 50, I was kind of like, there's a few maybe guys like here and there I would like nitpick, but I was like, it's not that big a deal. And then when the second chunk came out, I was like, man, there's some dudes in here that just have no business. And then the top 10, and I was kind of like, I'm not loving the top 10. A few picks in there.
Okay, because I had some issues with the top 10. I had some issues with 11 through 50. 50 through 100. I have no notes. My literal only note is Levine at 74, which I thought was like, that's solid. I'm glad to see him not in the top 50. I think that's appropriate. And then other than that, nothing. It's literally all I looked for. I was like, is Levine on this list? I was kind of curious if he was going to be. I mean, seeing who was at the bottom of the list, I was like, yeah, he's not any lower than this.
He's a top 100 guy for sure.
Yeah.
But I think in that 50 to 75 range is fine. If he was 65, I wouldn't have cared. If he was at like 59, fine. That would have been fine too. Like any one of those spots they're kind of interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
But the one that got me right off the bat was number 50, LaMelo Ball being at number 50.
Okay.
And he was 48 last year.
He dropped a little. That one I didn't.
Up to 50, and he barely played at all last year.
Yeah. I think there was a couple like that.
Like that team is not good, and LaMelo Ball doesn't make them significantly better. They're just not good. I don't know. That's the one that got me thinking about this, like in general.
Okay.
And then as I kept going, the next one that stuck out was Jimmy Butler at 28. I'm not vibing with that. That's way too low. He should be.
Oh wow.
He was 28.
He should be
low.
He should be in the 40s, in my opinion.
Wait.
Oh, low.
Am I saying it wrong? Am I saying the other way around?
Yeah, that's way too high.
He's too high.
Yeah. You think he's lower than that?
Yeah.
No, I like that.
Play.
No, but but when he plays, he's awesome.
Yeah, he was good. He was fine.
28.
28, I'm fine with. I like him.
It's okay.
He's not in the top 25. I agree with that. But I the legacy, you gotta give him 30s. That's okay with.
Like who would you rather have this year, Jimmy Butler or Paul George?
Ooh.
I didn't write down where Paul George was on the list. I feel like he was in that same range.
He was above Kawhi. I know that.
Well, Kawhi was at 22. I wrote that one down.
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck is
Paul George was like right above him, so he must have been 21.
Kawhi improved 2 spots.
We played 70 games last year.
Cool, but he's not playing this list indefinitely.
Yeah, but like, I wonder when this was published and when that news came out.
This list was out technically before that.
So
but the vibes were already out there. You already knew this was happening.
But the vibes.
And then my next one before we get like closer to the top 10 was Ja at 20. I don't know. He was at 35 last year. How he moved up 15 spots with barely playing is
Ja at 20. Ja, I have no idea where to put Ja.
He's an interesting one. I think you got to put him in that range, 20 to 30, because of the availability issues.
Last year is probably like fine. Like
that seems too low. It's tough when you because I don't have each individual player. I did write down some ones where I had like a specific issue with it, but I felt like okay, here we go. You have who were we talking about? Ja. Okay. Ja. I had one issue I had was Chet at 32.
Yeah.
I wrote down it's absurd. I thought
wrote that one down too.
Way too high. I'm like, I get it. Like the little nugget they put that he was the only guy besides Wemby to have whatever stats for a season. Awesome. But he was above. Who did I have? He's above Gobert, who I also had an issue with at 34, which I felt was a little high. But like he 4-time defensive player of the year, and you have this rookie 2 spots above him. That just seems crazy to me. But whatever. It's Chet.
I'm quiet because I agree with both of those. I think Chet. I have Chet in like 20. Like Chet, wow. I love Chet, but I'm also like Minnehaha Academy. Like I'm a little homerish with Chet, but like I think he's gonna have a crazy good season.
Maybe that's my thinking of like, I'm not saying Chet couldn't be that guy. I'm just saying he's not that guy right now.
That's what I'm with.
How should we? That's the difficulty with this list. Is how should we be viewing this?
So here's another good one I had. The other guy I did have a problem with was Wemby at 11.
Yes.
Again, I thought it was way too high. I love Wemby, but I felt he should be 15. He should be behind.
No,
Booker,
I have
Brown,
Wemby
AD, and Brunson.
No.
Wait, who should be above Wemby right now?
No, these were the guys that were right behind him, and this is right now.
I'm not saying who should be above Wembanyama right now?
Booker,
Brunson.
Brown.
You'd rather have Jalen Brunson than Wembanyama this year?
I'm saying if you're going off last season, Brunson went.
No, but I'm saying like
he went to the
if you're ranking the guys,
I get what you're saying. I get what
you're saying. Do you want Jalen Brunson over Wembanyama?
Long term, no.
Of course not.
Yeah, but for this season,
no.
Okay, maybe you know what? You just talked me into that. I think I was going off resume. I
get it. Yeah, no, the numbers look good for Brunson, but I'm just saying, like in pure wingspan,
would you rather have? I agree. I can't argue with it there. I mean, but that argument, okay, I'd have him what 5th? At least. Like, how many other guys in the league would you rather have than?
Basically, you're saying Wemby should be number 1 then.
Yeah,
well,
in the long term, he's the best player that's out there in the field for the long term.
No, like Jokic, I'd rather have Jokic this year. Luka, Giannis, Shea, Tatum, Curry, Edwards, LeBron.
Well, it all depends on the team, right?
Jalen Brown, I'd rather have than Wemby this year.
Yeah, I guess if you're like, hey, all right, you're subbing him out for Shea, like I would do that in a heartbeat.
Sure, but if I'm subbing him out for Kobe White,
yeah, exactly, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I wrote down Wemby too, and I specifically wrote over Jaylen Brown. I thought Brown being 14 and Wemby being 11 was disrespectful.
Yeah, he was a Finals MVP.
Right. I'm like, this dude's the Finals MVP. Wemby is a freak of nature, which is going to be good. But like Wemby to me is like, he's top 20. He's number 20. He's like right there. He's like, he can move up 15 spots in one season if this season goes exactly as it did last year. But on 1 year body of work, it's hard because I think there's 20 guys that have put a better body of work together. Yeah. What about the top 10? This is good. This is what I was kind of hoping because I saw a few that just like made my blood boil. And I'm glad that you had a similar experience.
All right. Who else to go? I love Embiid at 8th. I thought that was a great spot for him because I think he's a consensus top 5 guy. And I liked that they were like, nope, you're not. You're 8th. And I like that a lot. My other maybe hot. Okay, I'll just do all my hot ones. I got 3. LeBron is not 7th. He's he's not in the top 10 anymore. This is, I mean, if you want to go legacy, fine. And I can go off of the last night's game. He doesn't have the same burst. He doesn't have the same pop. He's a great player, no doubt about it. Obviously, going down as 1 or 2 in the greatest of all time. He is not currently the 7th best player in the league. I don't believe that at all. I think he's maybe top 15, top 20. That'd be a nice spot for him.
Put him at 11. Take out Wemby.
Yeah, take out Wemby, put him at 11. I'd be fine with that. My last hottest one I had is that I don't like Luka at 2. I think he should be 3 behind Jokic and Giannis. I don't think he brings it defensively, and those are the other 2. Those are champions. I would still give them the nod over Luka right now. That's it.
I think Jokic, Luka, and Giannis is just like their own thing.
The bracket.
Like that's their own bracket. LeBron's definitely a top 10 player still. He's over Wemby. He's over Brunson. He's over Embiid. He's actually playing. Embiid's out. He's not playing tonight on opening night. Like, what do we? Embiid at 8 is too high. Like, I have him 13.
Okay.
I
13.
hate Embiid.
Okay, wow.
This year,
I'm
so tired of watching Joel Embiid last year was just like a chore. Like he's just foul hunting. He was foul hunting in the Olympics.
You're not wrong.
What is this guy doing? Like,
the other thing with him,
I'm out on Embiid until he wins the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, he disappears in the playoffs. That's the other thing for me, where I'm like, I like it at 8, but
I wanted him even lower, and I was able to do it lower because he's hurt.
I see your point. No, I see your point there. Like, I like that they brought him down, but I could see your point that he should maybe be a little bit lower.
But who do you have over? Like, because when I look at the rankings, I got Jokic, Luka, Giannis, Shea, Tatum, Curry, Edwards, and then LeBron, and then Jaylen Brown, and then Wembanyama. Who am I missing? And then Anthony Davis. Embiid, I have 13th. Jalen Brunson, I have 12th.
So, like, I would have Anthony Davis better than LeBron right now.
That's fair. I can go either way on that.
Jaylen Brown is probably better than LeBron right now.
I like that we didn't mention KD's at 9.
KD's better than him.
I thought you were going to say KD. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I think KD at 9 is stupid.
No, he's still
a bit high.
He's
still one of the. He's still. I think he's still a number 1.
I have him 14th. Who's my next player? I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with Chris. I think he's out of the top 10. My big problem with this list was there's too many guys at the tail end of their, and we're like hanging on to this hope that like they're going to be what they once were, and like because they show the flashes of it, but like these guys aren't doing it consistently enough anymore for me. The LeBrons, KDs, Embiid, Steph, like all
right, I like you there, but
we got to start to like
where was Steph
ranked
like on the ESPN list?
He was 6.
6.
I thought it was a little
That's
high.
exactly where I have him. Yeah,
but it's okay. I'm okay with him 6. But all right, hold on. I'm gonna pose this hypothetical to you guys.
Yeah.
And I want between those 3 guys, it's Steph, KD, LeBron. Let's rank them in order. If their team won the finals this year, and they were the best player on that team, who would be the guy you'd be least surprised about, and then the most surprised about? I feel like if he was the best guy on the team, you'd be most surprised it was LeBron. I feel like Steph would still be the guy you'd be like, all right, if the Warriors win and Steph is Steph, that doesn't really surprise me all that much.
That makes sense.
If I think Phoenix wins and KD is KD, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But
I guess I'd be least surprised if just because of team, like we're talking about team because their teams this year. Like KD would probably be least surprising, right?
Yeah, I actually think that would probably be correct too. I like what you're reasoning there.
With the team wise, just because like if Curry had gotten Laurie and Paul George, as if what rumor apparently came out this week, rumor mill came out. But
his team.
I get what you're saying. I don't know.
I feel like it's 2 views of the list. It's are you talking about top 10 in terms of like career production? Or are you talking about top 10 in terms of like Chris is saying, like going forward? There's 2 ways to look at it.
I think look at it from both ends, right?
It's kind of got to be a blend of it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I just think like there's just no way if you were doing a draft of the league, like kind of what Chris was saying for this year. I'm not saying for for future beyond this year, but for this year, I just don't think LeBron's going 7th.
Jaylen Brown and Tatum should be top 10 together for me. I think is
that
to me is the no-brainer. You got the best duo in basketball and the Finals MVP, and like
Yeah,
Tatum's
they should be
been
like 6 and 8.
Tatum's
or
been
6
top
and 9.
5 in MVP for what 2-3 years now. Like those guys should be 5 and 7, 3 and 8, whatever you want, somewhere in there. Tatum first, probably Brown, 3-4 spots behind him.
Yeah, that is wild that Brown is way down there. He's not, top 15, but it feels low.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Brown's top 15.
Or Brown, sorry.
Oh, Brown. Yeah, Brown's way too
Jaylen
low.
Brown.
Where's Halliburton?
Where was he?
That's a good question.
He was pretty low, I thought.
He didn't stand out to me, so it must have felt
Was
Must have
it
felt right.
Wow.
Like 20s, 30s, something like that.
What about Zion?
Zion felt high. He felt high as well. He was he was above somebody else. I think he was above Jimmy Butler.
Halliburton was 16.
Okay. Yeah, I've been 50. Yeah.
That seems about right.
It's there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this is kind of eye-opening for me.
That's where it was. Halliburton was the guy I was like, okay, that's where Wemby would drop to me. The very lowest he would be, I would go, he's not, Halliburton's not better than Wemby though.
Well, Halliburton proved it more than Wemby last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, I was thinking, so the guys I had Booker, Brown, AD, and Brunson were all right behind Wemby up to number 15. And then 16 was Halliburton. That was my cutoff where I was like, okay, I can make an argument for Booker. I can make an argument for Brown, AD, and Brunson. Sure. Brunson was kind of like a maybe a little bit. But I was like, but I can't make the argument for Halliburton over Wemby. So that was like my stopping point.
What kind of makes me weird to get out again is like Jaylen Brown is more than 2 spots better than Tyrese Halliburton.
Why is that weird?
No, like he should be way more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
He's
okay.
only. He's only
Brown. Yeah.
Wait,
Brown is 14. Halliburton 16. It's like that doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
That doesn't jive.
No.
Don't jive.
It's not jiving. It's not jiving.
A dog don't hunt.
It was a good. I think it was a good, interesting list. I think there was. Anytime you're making a list, it's so hard.
I want to look because there's a few other ones. Like The Ringer did one, and then I think Sports Illustrated did one. Maybe I'll look for next week. Just kind of send it to you guys, but kind of compare the 3 and see if there's any sort of consensus. Because
these lists are hard to do. Like I'm trying to do my own, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm all over the place still. Like doing the top 15 is kind of easy, but once you get to like the 20s and 30s,
I feel like that's really the list. It's like who's the top 15 to 20 players, maybe 25 at the most.
Yeah.
So you can get some sort of like, oh yeah, he should be in the top 25.
like understanding of the league.
Yeah.
Like who's important.
Yeah, who's important. And then everybody else is kind of like in the mix. You know what I mean? Like I don't really care where Derek White is on the list. I think he was in the 30s or something like that. But I'm like,
I have him 28. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
high. He's high on the list.
He's high. But like, yeah, okay, if he's 28 or if he's,
42 doesn't matter.
42, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like he's a top 100 player for sure. You want him on your team, but
Right.
So definitely an interesting list. I like the debate. All right, Joe,
you guys really hate Chet.
It's too soon.
About that.
It's too soon. That's
Too
all.
soon. It's too early. There's not enough flash. There's not enough like. How high is the ceiling? Like I feel like we saw the ceiling.
Yeah, he got played out of the playoffs too.
Dude he's got to gain some muscle. He's like 21 years old. Give him a break.
Giddy got played out of a contract.
Here we go again with Chris and his age thing. Yeah, let's give everybody who's 21 a chance.
Kobe White is proving me right on the age thing.
White.
Yeah, what about Patrick Williams? How's that
one working
out for
he hit a 3 tonight, right? How do you end up doing?
Hey, Bronny's 21. Let's give him a chance.
Hey,
you never know. You never know.
He'll be top 10 in 2 years.
Potential. How long's his dad in there?
So much potential. Just the paragraph just says LeBron Senior.
Feast off the potential.
LeBron almost made an assist to him.
All right. Him for a wide open 3 and he missed it. Almost half assist.
Yeah, right. Joey's got a coach's challenge for us.
All right. My coach's challenge for tonight is the Clippers' attempt at building a contender, in quotes, is one of the worst attempts at building said contender. And my reasoning behind said challenge is I'm just going to give you the rundown. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff here, so kind of try and keep up with it, right? So it's 2019, right? They signed Kawhi and Paul George. Kawhi comes in as a free agent. Paul George comes in as a trade. Going out the door was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in that trade, Danilo Gallinari, whatever, and then a whole bunch of first-round picks, like a whole bunch. All of them are unprotected, keep in mind at this point. So there's some swaps in there. There's some straight-up picks, and all
Swaps.
Whatever.
My favorite NBA thing. Swaps.
Those picks so far have turned into Trey Mann, Jalen Williams, Nikola Topic. Jalen Williams obviously being the big one in that group that has panned out for them. Obviously SGA as well in the trade for PG. But if you look at it over the 5 seasons, so here's how those seasons have went. Paul George and Kawhi have accounted for 47% of the Clippers' entire salary over those 5 years. So half of the money going out to players was to those two guys. In 2020, so the first season of this experiment, they lost in the semifinals to the Nuggets. They had 7 total playoff wins. 2021, they lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Suns. That's when they got absolutely obliterated. They had 10 wins in that playoffs. 2022, they missed the playoffs. That is the pick that ended up going to Jalen Williams that they conveyed right to the Thunder. So they missed playoffs. Absolutely terrible season. 2023, they lose in the first round to the Suns. They lose 4-1 in that series. And then last year, they lost in the first round to the Mavs. They got 2 wins. So 20 wins over 5 years for those two guys, making up 50% of your salary. And then over that time, this one absolutely blew my mind. So Kawhi played 289 of 410 possible regular season games, 70%. Paul George played 263 of the 410, 64%. Paul George played less games, did not see that one coming. So
yeah, wow.
They sacrificed pretty much everything for the next, and they have picks going out to 2026, I think, or 2025. So they've got another season or 2 of picks going out the door in this. Paul George is gone, so that's lost.
Yeah, it's over.
Kawhi's out indefinitely, and they just extended him. And I didn't even mix into here the whole fact of James Harden. So I didn't even look up what they gave out the door in that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So 50% of your salary for 20 playoff wins, no trips to the finals for your 2 guys showing up in 65% of the games. And the best you got was a trip to the Western Conference Finals against the Suns. And
now somebody was hurt in that series, right? Was that Kawhi that was out? Because wasn't he like a beast in game 2 or the first 2 games of that series? And it looked like it was going to be.
No, that was that was 2023.
That was 2023. Okay,
that was 2023 when Kawhi looked really good for like a game and a half, and then he went down, and then they got blitzed.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember who was out for that.
He was probably hurt in that series too.
Yeah, but I remember one series.
That kind of comes to the whole point of this is like you sacrificed everything for 2 guys who barely played. When they did play, their ceiling was maybe Western Finals, and I remember that finals. I remember that season. I think that was the season that we picked like individual players in the pod.
Yeah,
for the finals, and a lot of us were debating Clippers players and if they were going to get hurt or not. But I don't know. Like a lot of teams have gone in to build contenders, and a lot of teams have been successful at it.
Yeah,
the Clippers went and spent all the money on 2 guys, and then they brought in Harden as like the 3rd piece that was last year supposed to make it happen, and it's not going to happen, right? The Clippers are going to be, I mean, they're bottom half of the league for sure this year if Kawhi doesn't play, which at this point I'm guessing Kawhi doesn't play until after Christmas.
It's certainly not looking good for him to play.
I didn't think it was that bad. Wow.
Joey or Chris, any rebuttals here?
So I tried thinking of like other teams that did rebuilds. I thought about the Bulls. I thought about teams that failed that are still kind of working on it, like the Pistons, the Nets rebuild. Like, I think the main question with this, does this beat the Nets rebuild with KG and Paul Pierce?
That's the one that came to my mind was that rebuild.
And I think it kind of does, because at least the KG Paul Pierce, they had some excitement for a year. But I mean, they're still in it actually. It's still bad. And how many years ago was that? Like
it's been 5 years. 2019, 2020 was the first season of this.
Sorry, for the Clippers or the Nets?
Oh, for the Clippers. For the Nets,
The Nets one, I thought that had to be like 8 years ago at least at this point. Because I guess they had the Durant, Kyrie, and Harden flee for like a couple years there as well. But it's been 5 years though for the Clippers, and it's looking worse than ever. That stadium looks great though. I don't know if you guys saw those clips with the stadium looks really cool.
I think the thing that stuck for me the hardest in this was they let all that out the door for Paul George. He delivered them nothing, and then they let him walk in free agency for nothing. Right? They got nothing in return for him.
I don't understand how they couldn't trade him.
They let 5 years of picks go out the door.
Yeah.
And SGA, who's going to be an MVP in the next 3 years. And they got nothing in return for it. The best they got was a trip to the Western.
Here's another hot take question. Do you guys like watching SGA? I feel like he's like a slash-year Harden.
I was about to say he's a skinny Harden.
Yeah.
He's another guy I've got my eye on as far as like I wonder what the ceiling is.
I didn't realize we're all gonna be on the same page. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's good.
It just deep in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. He's great, but like I don't know. I can't say it yet.
He's got to have some killer moments. He's got to give you some killer moments.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But if you're the Clippers,
so fun. Yeah.
But if you're the Clippers, though, you'd at this point much prefer the career trajectory of SGA over giving up him and 6 years worth of picks for Paul George.
Oh, of course.
So, like,
I mean, Doc Rivers, didn't he say that, like, hey, SGA is going to be pretty good. I don't know if you should get rid of him. But also in the same breath, he said, like, hey, if you make this trade, we're getting not just Paul George, but also Kawhi. So really, what was he trying to get here? If you had gotten that trade back, would you still make that trade for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard?
At the time?
I think you'd still make it. Because there's no chance. What were the percentages?
Kawhi was a free agency, right? He was a
but it was a package deal. Everyone knows.
Yeah, right. It was a package.
What was the percentages again? It was like 60% of games played for both of them?
Yeah.
Kawhi played 70, PG played 64.
Yeah. If you come to me and say, all right, Titus, knowing everything you know about what happened with this situation, you go back in time, we'll re-roll the dice. Like, we're not saying it's going to be the same. It's not saying it's same outcome. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. Could be worse, could be better. We'll re-roll them. Are you still making that trade? I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd be like, yep.
That's the thing, right? Like,
I would just do it in a heartbeat. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna roll those dice again. Yeah, like the Finals MVP. And then I think what was Paul George was like a top 5 MVP voting that season before. I think you do it.
He was pretty good in Indiana. I almost forgot he was drafted there at this point. Like, guy's been.
I mean, that's the kind of move I'm always talking about. I mean, it sucks because it didn't work out, and it's going to go down in history as one of the worst, moves. There's no doubt about it. But I'm like, that's what you do.
Now, in the same breath, do you still go back and make that Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett trade? I feel like that was always no, don't do that.
That even in the moment, I feel like people knew, like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, this is over, man. You don't do it when it's over. You do it when there's a chance, and there's no longer a chance in LA anymore.
So is this like a call stands? It's not confirmed. You guys don't uphold it, but you're kind of like, yeah.
I would revise. I think I would revise the
outcome.
Like, this is the worst in the last like 10 years.
Or, would it be
like since the Nets?
Since the Nets debacle.
Yeah. So I was trying to caveat it as in, like, it's not the worst trade of all time because there's been worse, but like it's the worst attempt at like building something that you were like, hey, this is a sure bet, right? Like we're going all in. We're pushing everything in here, thinking like this is the ticket to get there. I think we all thought that. I mean, it happened.
Yeah, I think we
like, oh shit, this is
like 2 years in a row to be the champ.
This is legit. Like, they're going to be good.
Scared.
I think it's one of those ones. If to relate it to a coach's challenge, it's where, like, I'm pretty sure the ball went off Kawhi's hand and out of bounds, but the camera angle doesn't quite show it. So I'm just going to go, the call stands.
But we're down 2, and we're going to challenge it and see what happens. It's worth the challenge.
It's because if I'm the rep, like, it's because there's not enough evidence. Like, I can't just say for sure.
Yeah, it's the call stands.
The call stands. Like, I don't feel good about it, but the call stands.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a makeup call, Joey, on the next play. If there's another questionable one, it's like I'm gonna go, all right, no, that's off Kawhi there. We gotta.
I'll take it. We'll see. I guess we should revisit this at the beginning of next season, because if their pick ends up being a lottery pick this year,
this could get real bad.
and it's somehow by the grace of the ping pong balls falls into like a number like 1. Oh God, what if it falls into number 1?
Cooper?
That's
and
the
the
nightmare.
Thunder
That's the
somehow
nightmare.
managed to get Cooper flag. That would just be something.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
for
they would have
them.
lost for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
They could trade it. Thunder could trade it all away. Get the haul back in return.
Come on. They're
got Chet.
really not good at
They've got Chet, so number 20 or whatever he was. They got the 20th best player in the league.
Yeah, 32. They're not really good at, as far as I can tell, they don't really.
I can't wait until you guys watch Chet this week. We'll talk about him next. We'll talk about Chet Holmgren next week. How he's
all right. We'll watch
playing.
Chet. Watch him tomorrow, Thursday night.
Yeah, Bulls Thunder Saturday home opener.
Oh, is that right?
I gotta watch.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I actually will watch
back
Chet.
in
That's
town.
great. Oh, perfect.
No, I'm watching for Caruso.
I'm regional.
Did you see? I should have sent it to you guys. Was the matchup was you know how they show 2 players?
Yeah,
and it was Kobe White and Alex Caruso as the guys. As the
they got to
matchup
do
guys.
that.
Man, he's got a nice mustache too, Caruso.
Does he? Good for him. I'm happy.
Good looking man.
Yeah, I hope he gets a chip.
I hope he does too.
Well, yeah.
Well,
let's not go that far. I'm not comfortable going that far. But
look, man, I'm sorry. Minnesota gave away their chance. I don't know. It's too early for that.
Give me a couple of years.
Cat was the key to the.
Cat was
the key. Yeah, right. We saw Cat play. It wasn't much better.
No. To be fair, I still think I would have been thinking Minnesota.
None of the rookies played. I don't like Rob.
Oh yeah.
I thought Rob would play.
Dillingham wasn't playing. Well, it's funny because I saw him trending on Twitter, and I was like, he wouldn't play though. And then I was like, are people just asking for him? Are they calling for like, hey, let's get Dillingham out of here?
Let's get him out of here.
Let's get him out here.
Well, let's hope the season turns a little bit better here for Minnesota going the rest of the way. Next week we'll be back. We'll talk more action. We'll have some Bulls conversation to talk about. I have to go on up the box scores alone, but it's fine.
You can watch the highlights probably on
Yeah,
YouTube.
sure I can watch that.
Just go to Joey's house. Just go
to Joey's house. I could have gone to Joey's house.
You can watch my antennas. I got 2 of them. I got 2
You went 2 antennas.
I might be getting a third soon because I don't want to move this one multiple times. Amazon for the win.
That's fine. Out of spite, pure spite for YouTube TV and the Chicago Bulls organization or whoever it is that's negotiating this, I will not be buying an antenna.
There you go.
But we'll see. We'll see how good Bazelis is, and then I'll decide. All right. Well, that is it for us tonight. Follow us on social media at the Box Out Boys. Slide in those DMs. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube and Spotify. Very much appreciate that. So until next time, Box Out.